The Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, has long been a significant actor in the international arena, particularly in regions of strategic interest to the United States. Mexico, sharing a long and porous border with the US, has been a focal point for CIA operations for decades. The agency's activities in Mexico have spanned a wide range of objectives, from countering communist influence during the Cold War to combating drug trafficking and terrorism in more recent years. US-Mexico relations have always been complex, shaped by geography, economic ties, and a history of both cooperation and conflict. The CIA's role in this dynamic is a story of covert operations, political maneuvering, and sometimes controversial tactics that have left a lasting impact on both nations. Understanding the CIA's involvement in Mexico requires a deep dive into
Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Clifton Raheem Bradley of the Underground Railroad Podcast. And you know what? Hi to the people overseas and in the United States. And what we're going to talk about, you know, I have Johnny, you know, he has his own show. We're going to talk about Sanctuary City and how does it affect people in the United States, primarily in Chicago, New York, in California, since these are major cities. And my guest is going to give information about what he thinks. And I'll throw in a little commentary too. Okay. Yeah, Johnny, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well. Cliff,
Okay.
how are you?
I'm doing great, man. And you know what? He has his own show. Where's your show at, bro? The show.
I have my show is called The Joyful Sound, Truth and Conversation. I'm on YouTube, Facebook,
Okay.
Twitter, all the major podcast platforms you can find me on. I got a question for you, Cliff. Where are you posting this to today?
No, this is on YouTube. This is on Twitch, and this is on Facebook. And you know what? Thanks to that audience out there and all audience, you know what? Share this like this. But the thing is, there's a big. I'm gonna mention Donald Trump's name. I'm gonna mention Kamala Harris's name. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the pros and cons, the contrasts and effects of Sanctuary City. And what people that don't know what Sanctuary City means, there's somebody that does not know. That's somebody that comes across the borders of the United States, through Texas preferably, and they go to cities, a ship to cities that will give them rights, will at some point give them voting rights, will give them Social Security, will give them a link card, and other rights. But the thing is, they snuck into the country, and Texas governor says, since you classified yourself as a sanctuary city, take them all. It's like me leaving my door open and saying everybody is welcome. I should have no complaint about anybody coming in. But Johnny, thank you for accepting the invitation, brother. I want to ask you, man, about Sanctuary City. And it's really, really, really mind-boggling to me. I'd like to ask you, what has caused the economic instability in Central America, Central America, Mexico, and Venezuela? Venezuela had a big election, got the name of the president, and there should be more people coming to the United States. How did this instability start to where somebody actually wanted to leave their home and say, man, I got to get out of here? Because there's some people that don't understand about the U.S. and what the CIA has done. And can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, when you look around the globe and you see different empires,
yes,
you will find that your empires are built on something.
Yes.
Usually on a particular product.
Yes.
Okay. Saudi Arabia is built on oil.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Russia, to a large degree, is built on oil.
Yes.
Britain is built on trade and naval power.
Yes.
The U.S. is built on bananas.
Yes, sir.
And of all the things that you would think that the U.S. was built on, this would be one most people wouldn't think of. But when you are aware of U.S. history, and in particular of the term called Banana Wars or Banana Republic,
Yes.
if you have understanding of that history, then you understand that the U.S. was built on bananas. It's where the U.S. began to establish its international presence.
Okay.
So basically what it has been, how bananas has led to the immigration issues that we have today, is that a lot of companies, a lot of international companies,
Yes.
or a lot of U.S. companies have sought opportunity in international trade. And the first places that they've sought this trade was, of course, in nearby markets like the Caribbean and Central America, and to some extent South America. And one of the biggest products in these regions are tropical fruits.
Okay.
Whether it be pineapples, maybe lemons and oranges.
Yes.
But of all of them, bananas was of most interest.
You know what? When you say, but I would like to. What you're saying is logical for all of the people that are listening out there. I would like to ask you, from the studies that you have done, has the CIA intentionally conducted operations within their region to cause destabilization in there? And I can remember the Iran-Contra thing, but have they caused destabilization and supported dictators, or intentionally to destabilize governments to have control?
See, this is where world history is very important. Like I said, a dog in that fight. Right? They will have some interest in the economic exploitation of international corporations within their borders. So you
wait a minute, but I'm asking: has the CIA, from your study,
I know my answer is slow in development.
Yes,
I know my answer is slow in development, but this information is necessary to show how the CIA has developed, right? Because the international or multinational corporations are interested in profits.
Yes.
And they go wherever the profits are. Now, when you have a national interest, which is the growth of your economy, then the government is going to support economic growth. Now, the CIA being a part of the U.S. government, then they will have an interest in supporting the mission of international corporations. So, what the CIA has done, they have created covert activities in order to further the goals, the international goals of international corporations that are formed here in the U.S.
Yes.
So yes, the CIA does and has gone into different countries to execute different operations in order to further the goals of international companies, CIA operatives, to go in and sometimes kill people.
Okay. Yeah, I you know what? I got it, but I also like to ask you: has the CIA been complicit in drug trades.
Now we haven't gotten to. We still dealing with bananas.
Okay, I got that already.
Okay,
you know what?
okay.
The audience got that. I
Okay.
get it. Okay. I'm saying, has the United States and the CIA been complicit and cooperate with drug lords? Okay. In Central America, Venezuela, and these. That's so. What? And if so, what type of activities have they done to conduct covert actions to bring drugs and fentanyl into the United States of America? What?
I'm not as familiar with the opium trade, right? I know of events.
Yes,
I know they do that. I'm much more familiar because this was in one of my papers in school. You know, the Banana Wars. I've done several projects on the Banana Wars.
Yes, sir.
But I'm probably more familiar with the CIA involvement with the opioids in Afghanistan than with cocaine or opioids in Central and South America.
So you're not familiar with Ronald Reagan getting drugs for guns. You're not familiar with that at all. Oliver North.
Yes, I'm familiar with that one operation, right? But
okay.
I don't know that.
What happened in that operation?
Well, there was, the CIA does a lot of underhanded things in order to get money, right? To fund their operations. So they've been known to deal in drugs and use the proceeds from those drugs to buy weapons in order to arm people to do their bidding. If they're not going to have their own soldiers on the ground, they've used drugs, sold drugs, and took the proceeds to buy weapons to arm certain rebel groups to fight for their causes. And this was the case in the Iran Contra deal that Reagan made to get our hostages out.
Yes.
So they're reported to have sold drugs, used the proceeds from drugs to buy weapons in order to arm these rebels in Nicaragua, and as a consequence, they used that to make a deal to get the Iranians freed from, the hostages freed from Iran.
Who are some of the dictators that the CIA has planted in to do their dastardly deeds? Who are some of the dictators?
Manuel Noriega, that's a famous one that was associated with drug deals in Central and South America.
Yes.
In terms of
did they have any? Did the CIA have any dealings with Carlos Esteban, who was a notorious drug lord that is now locked up in prison in the United States of America?
Esteban, who?
What was his name? I forget. I think his name. I forgot the big drug dealer that got caught from Mexico. I think it was.
Oh, I was going to say because Esteban is dead.
Okay, no, it's another leader. I forgot.
No, you talking about
El Chapo.
Did
the CIA in the United States have anything with doing that? And then saying, you know what, we tired of you. And then they had him abducted and brought to the United States. Did the United States have anything to do with El Chapo?
That's a little bit more than I know. I don't know their involvement with El Chapo directly. All I know is that he was a major contributor to street drugs here in Chicago and the rest of the U.S.
And did they do the right thing by putting El Chapo away? You say he was a drug lord, did they?
Yeah, finally. Yeah. So they finally did something that was in our best interest.
Okay. And he's in a super max right now with Jeff Ford, Dale Rookins, and Larry Hoover of the Gangster Disciples. And they lobbying for Larry Hoover to get out of jail, right? You have any thoughts on that, or you rather keep it to yourself?
I could share. Yeah, my thoughts are that I'm really not. I mean, I know that they were gangbangers, they were involved in drug deals, etc. But given the effectiveness of our law enforcement,
yes,
my thoughts is that they never should have locked them up. Not because they're not guilty, not because I'm okay with crime, but look at the aftermath. You know, those of us who grew up in the 80s.
Yes.
I mean,
So they shouldn't. They should for the atrocities that took place in Chicago. They should, in your opinion, they shouldn't have never even considered locking up Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford. I get it. I'm listening to.
I mean, because they created a power vacuum, and you know, this is just one of the realities that we've seen in international diplomacy, politics, etc., or even in military action, where for you to pull down a dictator, a crime boss, a warlord, a lot of times it creates more problems than it solves. And I think
so in your opinion, Larry Hoover, leader of, I think, the Gangster Disciples, he should be let free, and Jeff Ford. So you're saying they should have never been put in jail. They should be let free from the maximum security jail. So are you saying that?
Well, I'm saying they shouldn't have been locked up, but you know, I'm kind of like, this is the opposite of how they say the horse is out of the barn. In this case, the horse is already in the barn, you know. So I don't know how effective it would be to let them out. But
okay,
I mean, just in terms of, they've been locked up forever. Like, I think they probably qualify for some type of.
No, they got a life sentence, brother. They have life sentences.
You know, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, and my thoughts on that is not political. It's not social in terms of social justice. It's just in terms of, you know, logic. Like, I really feel like, you know, they probably should be let out because, you know, like, I don't feel like they're that big of a threat at this point.
What would you say to a family member that somebody that you know what, that their son or daughter was slain because they were given orders to eliminate? What would you say to them? You're saying that they probably should let them out, but what would you say to a family members who have lost loved ones that just don't feel that way? I'm asking you.
Well, I definitely understand if they would be opposed to letting them out. But you have to consider sometimes, I mean, what do you expect to gain? You know, even if they, you know, they killed you. I mean, given the length of time they've been in there.
I get it.
Where's the satisfaction coming from keeping them in there? If it's not, I think they're going to kill again, or they're going to kill me, or whatever. If it's that, okay, I don't know. I might agree with that. If you're afraid of that, I can't really condemn that. But if that's not the case, if your idea of keeping your feeling them, if your reason for thinking they should stay in there is like they got to pay more of a penalty, I don't get that logic.
Now, you know what? I strayed. Man.
I think they even let the guy who shot John Hinckley out. I mean, they shot Ronald Reagan out already.
But he didn't kill Ronald Reagan. So he did not kill. So as an interview, you know what? As an interviewer, I have to bring that up. He did not kill Ronald Reagan. Okay, there are executions that have taken place in this documented. The people have been killed, but you're saying let them out. I get it. I'm listening to you. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. I'm not saying that, that's the best idea, but based on my limited information in that area, I'm like, you might as well let these guys out.
Okay. And what do the people that agree? But I want to get back to Sanctuary City, big Sanctuary City. But you people that are looking in New York, in California, and Chicago, and globally, what is Sanctuary City? Sanctuary City are people that have come across the border illegally, and they have rights once they go to cities like Chicago, New York, and California that let them stay and give them entitlements, okay, that was supposed to be for citizens. But I want to ask you something. Since you have made the statement that the Banana Wars, okay, and El Chapo and Ortega, that the United States and the CIA have supported, okay, they have supported covert actions to maintain power and get drugs. Do you blame the Mexican, or the Hispanic, or the Latino for coming to the United States to lead oppressive governments? Do you blame them?
Not really. But you mean specifically an oppressive government? I don't know about that.
They're drug lords that run certain areas in Central America, in Mexico.
That's like violence. That's not necessarily just oppressive
so
government. That's more like violence.
Okay, I mean that, but do you blame them for wanting to flee that tyranny of a government that is controlled by drug lords? Do you condemn them? What do you think about them? Are they right? Are they wrong?
Yeah, no, I don't. I wouldn't say I condemn them. I don't like it. Just to be clear.
Okay.
Right. And what don't I like about it? What I don't like about it is the illegal process.
Yes.
Like, I don't have a problem with legal immigration.
So you agree with Donald Trump then? Oh, go ahead.
I don't. If they come here through the legal process, whatever that may be, fine. But it's just something that doesn't sit right when you make it the norm to allow people to cross the border illegally and there are no consequences. And then you even protect them. Mm-hmm. So you got cities that have declared themselves sanctuary cities, and these are the same cities that petition the federal government for federal funding for this and for that, for the other, but they refuse the cooperation with the federal government in order to enforce federal immigration laws. Mm-hmm. They won't share information about illegals in the country. These immigrants commit crimes, and then they don't make it possible for ICE, that is Immigration and Custom Enforcement, mm-hmm. to come and get them, to deport them or anything. They make it convenient for them to come here illegally and commit actions illegally.
Okay, so are you essentially saying that the policies of President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, which were complicit with it, you're saying they're wrong? Well, they were wrong, and Can't believe it. You're saying they're wrong and Donald Trump is right. Are you saying that? I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you.
Are you
No,
saying that?
I'm interviewing you.
I'm trying to get your question right.
Okay, I'm saying,
are you saying that I'm a Democrat? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying
that
no.
I have a party affiliation?
Okay, no, I'm not. You might be nonpartisan. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying is, what you're saying is that Joe Biden, which is the president of the United States in year 2024, and Kamala Harris were complicit in letting people cross the borders. And you just said you against it. So you're saying, essentially, are you saying Donald Trump is right? Because he appears to be saying the same thing you say.
Yeah, I'm saying that the parties are playing political football with our communities.
Let me ask you the question in a different way, brother. I asked you the question in a different way. Is Donald Trump right or wrong? Is Kamala Harris right or wrong? You're saying one thing, but you're being evasive. But I'm trying to get you to see. I'm an interviewer, and you know what? I have to ask you that because you know what? It doesn't injustice to the audience that's taking time out of their day to share this. And I have to ask you that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to be painted like I'm endorsing Donald Trump. So yeah. So Donald Trump has articulated the right side on the immigration issue.
Okay.
And is that his conviction? I believe Donald Trump is his own conviction, but how he articulates the border policy is, I think, more appropriate.
Okay. I'd like to ask you something, man. Why, you know, with the people coming in, do you feel that it is unfair where an individual that comes into the country, they're born in the country, that they cannot have automatic citizenship under the Pride? What's that? The Pride Act or the Proud Act? The Proud Act. Do you feel that they should be, since they were born on United States soil, they should be able to have the ability to call themselves U.S. citizens, whether whether their parents snuck into the country or not? What are your feelings on it?
Well, my feelings is that people we get hooked on tradition very fast, and it's hard to break. So I believe at one time that policy had a purpose and it more or less made sense when you were trying to increase the national population.
Okay.
Now, what we are in the habit of as a people,
yes,
maintaining things as a tradition and not because it makes sense.
Yes.
So that policy may have outlived its usefulness, but in order to correct it, they make everything political. So you have to go through a political process to fix it, and then there's going to be someone who has an interest in not fixing it, and they're going to fight to not fix it, even though the policy has no reason or benefit at the present. And I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm just saying even in the case where it doesn't, and I'm not so sure if it does, I don't see it making a whole lot of sense right now.
Yes.
Because you got two people, and I use the example that's common to the subject we're dealing with right now.
Yes.
You have two people, and we've had this example. right?
Yes.
With Mr. What they call it, Mr. Squatter. That's what I'm calling Mr. Squatter.
Yes.
The one that was making posting videos on teaching people how to come to the U.S. and squat on other people's squat in other people's property and basically take it over.
Yes.
So I believe when he arrived, his girlfriend or whoever she is, wife, whatever, was pregnant.
Yes.
And they had a child, I believe, while squatting.
Yes.
So according to the law, that child is supposed to be a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
I don't think that makes a lot of sense.
So they should go back to their state of origins, even though the United States has caused instability in that region. They should go back if they snuck in, even though the United States has done dastardly things. They should go back. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Who should go back?
I'm talking about the child and the parents. They should go back to their place of where they originated from. I came from, even though the United States caused instability and economical problems in that region. They should go back. Okay, so the child should go back. Huh?
You know what? Look, between the past things that the U.S. has done, and the present issues and conflicts that we have, it's difficult. It is difficult to reason out what's just and what is not.
Well, you just said they should go back. So I'm trying to rationalize.
You reasoned that I was saying that they should go back.
You did say
you reasoned that as a natural conclusion, but I did not say that they should go back.
Okay, I'm correct. Okay,
but they should go back. You know,
regardless of the repercussions, they should go back. Who
says that there are repercussions? Because see, that's another game, a political game that people play. They find the most emotive argument for people coming here.
Yes.
So they assume, and the Democratic Party has done this for decades.
Yes.
They paint all colors with one brush.
Yes.
And they say, how dare you? How dare we as a nation of immigrants send someone back who is fleeing persecution? You know, who's seeking asylum from persecution. Everybody that's coming across that border is not seeking asylum from persecution. Some of these people are coming across the border because they committed crimes like murder in their own country, and they're escaping prosecution.
Yes. So, as Donald says, if I'm listening to you, so this should be the biggest deportation actions to take place, because you said that they should go back. So basically, actually, that's what Donald said. Oh,
when I said they, I was
deportation.
Speaking of Mr. Squatter.
Yes.
Mr. Squatter and family should go back.
Okay. And you know what, you have made the statement that the CIA and the United States government has been complicit in some illegal activities that have taken place in Mexico and Central America and Guatemala and that hemisphere. Okay. And I would like to ask you, what is the reason? Since you have this knowledge, everybody, it's common knowledge. What is the reason that the people in the United States have not made an uproar about these dastardly deeds being conducted, and underhanded deeds from the banana wars to El Chapo to the war? What's the reason that the American people have now said, you know what, enough is enough? What's the reason, in your opinion?
There's 3 reasons.
Uh-huh.
The first one is lack of information, right? Because this has been going on for over a century.
Mm-hmm.
And U.S. citizens initially was not aware.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we get radio, this was not something that was broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
When we got television, it still was not something that was broadcast.
Yes.
So a lot of these things was common knowledge, mostly through people through academia, through people who study in those areas, and maybe set up their own distribution channels of flyers and pamphlets, or they were a professor on a campus.
I want to tell you something quick. You got a lot of people looking at you on YouTube. Go ahead, brother.
That were activists. They were activists in these particular areas.
Yes.
So that's that was probably the main channel of how that type of information got out.
Yes.
But since then, the main way we get a lot of information like this is through social media. So lack of information. Second one is basically government, basically subverting or subjecting the people, where we have not always enjoyed the First Amendment, even though it was written, and we still don't always enjoy the First Amendment.
Yes.
Without some type of retribution.
Yes.
So that has been the case where, there was, especially during the heyday of the Banana Wars, like the 1920s, or even, I would say, even the 1950s. There was a lot of retribution for that. Like even McCarthyism would have caused you to, suffer a lot of retribution for just getting the news out that this was happening. Yeah, even the 1950s, even as of the 1950s, it would have been, with McCarthyism and things like that, there would have been a retribution for, speaking out against things like that. So between the lack of information, retribution, or at the same time, not a lot of people feel connected to things that are not happening either inside their city or inside their particular neighborhood or even inside their house. So, there was not a lot of interest necessarily because, things like this is not things that are perpetrated by citizens of the United States. And that's the irony of politics and international politics or international interventions, is that we as a nation get credit for it, but it's really not us, it's the government. Because if we don't, we will find ourselves having certain attitudes towards other nations, when a lot of times it's just our governments. That's is a city where the local government has decided to ignore federal immigration laws for those illegal immigrants who have crossed the border illegally and are living here under that local government. And so then they make the laws where it's easy for them to escape in fact, they teach them how to avoid arrest.
Yes.
Right? They teach them how to avoid arrest and create laws that make it unlawful. And that in itself seems unlawful to me, to make laws to make it unlawful to follow the federal law. Yeah, but anyway, this is what they do. They make laws to make it unlawful for the police to, or anybody else to inform immigrations and custom officials or the federal government of illegal immigrants' immigration status, unless they commit major crimes. So they can be picked up for shoplifting, they can be picked up for breaking into your car, different other things, and then they'll get a court date that they may or may not show up to, and that's it. Rationalizing a fix for something we did internationally years before.
Yes.
Right? Because I mean, again, speaking as a citizen, and which is, we as citizens have a different responsibility than the government.
Yes.
The government, they sponsor a lot of those evil activities. Right?
Yes.
It wasn't the average citizen. But we as the average citizen, we're the ones that I think are suffering from the consequences. So, yes, the U.S. has created instability in these regions, which has led to immigration issues.
Yes.
Now, I think the biggest problem is not addressing it correctly, right? In the light.
Okay. So you would say the property that it doesn't matter.
Yes, I suspect that your property values will go down, because if someone's interested in buying a property, people tend to do homework first. They tend to visit the neighborhood. They want to see stability in the neighborhood. They don't want to see homelessness. They're going to look at the demographics. And when I say demographics, I'm not talking about racial makeup. Right? I don't know if I suggest that, because that's not a deciding factor. But I'm talking about income levels, crime levels, rates of homelessness, things like that. Your schools, how many students are in your schools in each class? No, because we have to take care of our own first. You got to take care of home first. And I think that does start with veterans. I mean, I think we do have to take veterans seriously, because we ask a lot of veterans, a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And, we have and we do put them in very risky situations where they have to make daily sacrifices. Other people. Yes, I mean, it makes logical economic sense, because I talked earlier about urbanization and industrialization.
Yes.
The whole purpose of urbanization and industrialization was to lower wages. It put industry and production facilities near urban areas where there were large populations, so that there was greater competition for those jobs. So basically, the employer can have their pick of who works there. So if you have 3 times as many person skilled at the jobs that you're hiring for is better than 2 people, on average. Like if you have on average, let's say in a 10-mile radius, 2 people that are skilled, let's say for the particular job being offered, there's a 2-to-1 ratio of skilled people for that job within a 15-mile radius. Okay, not so great. Be better to have 3. And if you have 5, you're doing even better. And that lowers the wages that you have to pay them because you've increased the competition for that job. Vaguely, I mean, my memory in certain aspects is pretty good. And I think I recall Joe Biden saying that Kamala Harris is the point person on the border. I remember hearing that. I don't think I'm wrong. Yes. And then she's only been to the border once, even with all the controversies we've had at the border. I mean, she didn't go down there doing those controversies. Yeah, that's a problem. I think if the border is her responsibility, she should have been down there more than once. And she should be very active when in regards to immigration, right? And not just active, but responsive. And they keep putting immigration in the political zone, and so that when we look at what's going on, we don't take it seriously, or we don't really perceive it. I've seen and read enough about what's going on at the border to be concerned as a Chicagoan, even without them busing immigrants up here. I believe most citizens was like, are you serious? How, it was to me, very elitist, because she's not being touched by it like we are. It's like she doesn't have a dog in the fight, but she's over the race. So she, of course, she can justify it and have a staunch stand for it because she ain't feeling what we're feeling. All right. I take the scenic route. I apologize, but I take the scenic route. She was all on board. She kept justifying it. It was like, immigration is the thing, it's the right thing to do, et cetera, because she's not being touched by it because, she has her security detailed and, she's kind of excluded from the life that we live. The influx of immigrants. This is something we understood as citizens already. And while you kept defending being a sanctuary city, we already saw this. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about we can't handle it. We knew this. Okay, now, what this is showing you, when you look at what Mayor Johnson has done, he came in saying the same thing. We're a sanctuary city. We was justifying it. He was trying to put taxes on the ballot to get it raised to support the immigration influx. And then next thing you know, he's talking about he's going to impound the buses. Like, that let you know that they're not considering us when they make these decisions, because if they were considering us, they would foresee the issues and get ahead of it and not take drastic, even maybe draconian actions to correct a problem that they created that we foresaw years ago. It's two separate things. Irrespective of immigration, most vehicle operators that operate commercially within the city of Chicago have to have a particular registration or permit to be allowed to transport in Chicago. So if you don't comply with whatever, they can stop you from operating in the city, right? Which is a thing totally separate from your company would be the one that has to get the permit. You may not even know it. They are busing here. That means they have a authorization, but he can rescind that authorization. Can be rescinded, and then your bus impounded because they what they determined. They determined that you're operating your vehicle contrary to the normal policy of how you conduct your business. First of all, I don't think they have the right to classify as it is defined. I don't think they have the right to classify the city as a sanctuary city. I think they should rescind that. Yeah, save. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna live holy, right? And that's what it's because when it comes to social, okay, yeah, I believe it will have an impact on Social Security because Social Security is part of the U.S. budget. And anytime they have a budget strain, which obviously you have anytime you're running a budget deficit every year, you have to make cuts other places to continue what you have determined as priority. And I don't know how much of a priority they're putting on Social Security. Obviously not enough to have them properly funded because they're borrowing from it to the point where I think the whole Social Security is in a deficit. That means Medicaid is more expensive for the taxpayers. It also means that is less available for those who use it. And I think, and it's been blamed mostly on the Democrats. It's been a lot of inaction by the Democrats, but it's both parties. But most of the Democrats have been inactive and unwilling to come up with comprehensive immigration laws and policies. Nations are very limited. But the immigrants that I've gotten to know, and I've gotten to know a few, and I think, oh, you wasn't with me, because I've done a lot of interviewing of immigrants. And from my experience, if they were to vote, irrespective of our immigration policies and situation, they would be Democrats anyway. So I don't think they're turning Democrat because the Democrats are the ones that have the lax borders. So I don't think that's the Democrats' reasoning. I think that the Democratic Party is just very leftist, and it's like order is bad. I think, well, maybe they got a 20-year plan, but I think they also have like a 50-year plan. Yeah, so I think that there will be a war soon, and that no party or either party that's in office, they're going to present that. In power, when we go to war, they will make that offer. Yo quiero decir que te inviten para visitar a mi sitio de web, Truth and Conversation, algún día, y para escuchar a los mensajes que yo tengo sobre las cosas espirituales. Acerca de qué pasa en el mundo. Ahora solo tengo los mensajes en inglés, pero en el futuro voy a tener los mensajes también en español. Yo quiero compartir con todo en el mundo, pero ahora yo yo hablo inglés en español solamente. Entonces invito a visitar, escuchar, aprender. So yeah, so right now I invite Spanish speakers and English speakers to visit my channel. It's called The Joyful Sound, Truth and Conversation on YouTube. I plan in the future to also upload my lessons in Spanish. Right now I'm, getting my routine down in English, right? So I'm just trying to maintain a consistency with that. So in the future, I definitely want to compartir, share the same message in Spanish. So I invite you and English and Spanish listeners to stay tuned to the Joyful Sound, Truth and Conversation. I post generally every Sunday at sure what the message is. Besides, in this time and hour, no matter what situation we're in, Jesus, message of hope. Jesus is the answer. So run to Jesus. That's
what your grandfather was doing. Any message for your grandchildren? Great.
Because I happen to have known someone who was in the NSA.
Okay.
All right? And they don't know what they'll know now. I've been in their building with him. Did you see it?
Yes, sir.
And they...
Some people don't know what NSA is.
The National Security Administration. And when I walked up in there and seen that, they got video screens. I mean, from here to 35th Street.
Those street cameras, right?
Those are the screens like you watch on a computer.
Right.
All right? They got a room where they listen to conversations all around the country. All right? That's why I can say what I say. But they let me go because he was an important person. And they figured if he was pregnant, it was all right. All right? They made a mistake, but I never forgot that.
Well, wait a minute, wow.